this year's topic, it's one that is really important for me because since the very beginning of the TP, just to present myself, I'm Andrea. I run the TP bookshop in Brussels, Belgium. I focus on self-publishing and also published books by artists or publishing houses. The very first energy I wanted to implement in the bookshop is to welcome anyone and any kind of stories, whether they were fluffy made, whether they were already printed in a really high level way, even just for a dummy, and to interact and to give feedback to the people, to the artist or to whoever could come in. I think the title refers to something really important, this stepping stone, and the experimentation is really at the very heart of making dummies. Making dummies is your own little kitchen, is that place where you can do whatever you want and you can put it in the fridge, like that I like to say, for a week, bring it out and think about it, if it's still relevant, if it's something alien or if it's something that you still can recall. This year panelists, I'm really happy to have all of you. I only don't know two personally, but Florence and ARASH are with us. ARASH was the winner of last year Dummy Book Award, and it is published by Spectre. It's on the Spectre table. Thank you, Frederic LEZMI. And this year winner is Florence CUSCHIERI, and she's the winner of. Thank you, ARASH. This is I think you can clap. Thank you for both of them. We have in front of us graphic designers, we have publishers who also interact with the design process. We have people from PhotoBook Cologne, which is really great because it's also a bit of a European hub, can I say this, for creatives and also people doing research. And someone was clapping, maybe. And we also have a multifaceted person like Lia Prada, who did the design of this year dummy winner. And finally, but last but not least, Margot JOURQUIN, who I know from Brussels and who did like a whole journey from book design, dummy, and then I've introduced Margot to Janne from Cold Books, and finally they reached an agreement and an exciting journey started into making her own first book published. So let me just introduce quickly with the shortest bio available in Arles. So ARASH FAYEZ is the winner of last year. He's an artist and curator focusing on theme of displacement. RIIKONEN at the very end is a visual artist, publisher and book designer from Cold Books with a Master of Arts in Photojournalism. Frederic LEZMI here on my left, it's a photographer, book designer, curator from the PhotoBook Museum and the initiator of the Book Lab in Istanbul, if I'm right.
And we also run a dummy award. We've taken over the Kassel Dummy Award, one of the first dummy award that existed. And when the dummy award stopped, or Kassel stopped, we said that's a too good asset to shelve it, so we took over. So we are one of the dummy award, how you call it, persons who organize it.
All right, fantastic. Next to Lia, there is Florence CUSCHIERI. So it's this year winner of the Dummy Book Award. Florence is often interested in fragmented or forgotten stories. These stories address political and societal themes. Bodies and voices converge in her creation, giving voice to the oppressed and making civic poetry a force for action. And last but not least, no, and there's also Margot, sorry Margot. There's Leah Prada, who is an artist, publisher, and a graphic designer. She plays the book at the Art of Practice. And Margot is a visual artist based in Brussels with a background in Italian literature, focusing on sociological, poetic, and philosophical themes. This discussion, I've decided the discussion will be split into 3 main segments. The first one will be the role of the Dummy Book Awards. I think the Dummy Book Awards in a large scale, it can be from Cologne to Arles. The second segment will be from experimentation to final PhotoBook. And the third one will be more industry insight and future trend. I don't like the word trend, but I'd just like to see how the panelists will react to this. Before diving into the main segment, I would like you to dive first into the video I made this morning about the winner of this year and the winner of last year, so you can get an idea about how they've been working their topic and how they've been like addressing those issues into a book of image or a book called a photo book. We can discuss about maybe the differentiation between both after. I'm just making a small pause just to say congratulations to both of us. And now we will have to, maybe not the full book of ARASH, because the full book of ARASH would take us 2 days at a normal speed, so I had to speed it up. I was really happy when I discovered the book this morning of Florence, and especially when I delved into to understand that actually last year winner and this year winner were both addressing issues of limbo. Actually, both of them were asking us how and where are those people who are seeking for a better future or to to travel from one country to another, and how can we translate this in book form. I was talking about before about PhotoBook and also a book of images. I think ARASH has more of a book of images with two timeline, one that is administrative and which is the full file, if I don't mistake, of your entrance into the United States.
So, as you said, it's, I would say, well, it's the same timeline, but let's say two narratives, right? One that it's somehow tracked and documented by the one in power, which is the government, obviously the US government. And the other one is the photographs that I took on everyday basis as like something that can maybe resonate with what we know as vernacular photography. The timeline actually starts from the day that I was arrested by the US Immigration Enforcement, ICE, to the day that I voluntarily left the country. So it's a period, let's say about 3.5 years, that is somehow in the end, Apolis becomes the visual autobiography of this moment of my life in limbo.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for clarifying. Maybe I would like to ask Florence about maybe her insight about what I just said, at least that I'm putting you both into artists working on or around this notion of limbo for people. Maybe you can share with us a bit of an insight on how you came up with this project and how you've been working out the very images and the sequence with Leah, and then we will be able to start the segments.
I was traveling between both countries, France and Italy, during like maybe 2 years, and so between 2017 and 2018, and so I was taking the bus frequently at the border, so crossing the border, and so I see a lot of refugees who just take the bus. It was stopped at the border, so doing a lot of travel, and so I wanted to do something to help those people. So in Briançon and in Italy too, and I started to do like a voluntary there. And after I started the project in 2021, when I was able to tell something about this. At the beginning, I didn't know how to do it. I didn't want to tell a story about what's happened or on migration and on the refugees camp, but it was more about people and people who were staying there for long term, and people who didn't have any houses or places where to go in Europe or in France, and this place was like their home at this point. And so yeah, during 2 years I went there for a few months, living with them, and some relationship started to grow. Yeah, to grow, and it was like I don't know how to say, but I started to take pictures when they were able to do that, and when people who were living there was also okay. But it was more about the relationship at the beginning, like just speaking about other things than administratives or the state of rating there. So yes, and so during 2021 and 22, I was traveling there, and I still do it. So at September, I will go back there, and I'm still in contact with all of the people I photograph in this book.
Okay. Just a quick question. I'm interrupting you,
yes.
but because my geeky book brain start to be excited, and it's a question to you, but also to Leah about have you thought of the project directly into as a book end, or it was more of a let's take pictures of this and then we will see what happened after. Because I know some photographers are book-minded and some others are more like a documentary, and then we will see what the outcome will be.
No, I wanted to do a book about this story because I think it's a way to tell the story about what I wanted to do, what I wanted to tell to the people, but also it was a good way to share this project to a large panel of people, and also it was a way to share with them, to give them this book, not as an exhibition, because exhibition is something in one point, is starting and is doing like 1 month, 2 months, but the book is something that stays in the time.
In the long run.
Yeah.
All right. And Leah, quickly maybe, can you share with us the creative process about from the moment you've been approached by Florence, and or maybe you knew each other before, and to the first, second, third draft of the book design? Maybe the first draft was already the good one.
No, actually we met because of the book. A friend introduced us because Florence wanted to work with someone else, I think, to have a graphic designer help to build a book, not alone. We started to work, actually it was quite nice because we really rethink, I think, the editing, because her project had other layers, other narrative. It's not all on this book, and we abandoned some things on the side that she may use on exhibition or other shape that the project could take. So we really built it together. And about the editing, we tried to... She had many different layers, like she recorded those men, so she gave me some sentences that the person she knew said. She also had text, and she had two types of images, all the colors one, which are in the nature, and she also had contact sheets, because she had two different approach with photography. She spent time with them and photographed those men, but she also walked alone to do the pass, the same pass that they are using from the border to the shelter they live in.
Okay, okay. And did you just, is the chronology of the pictures following the chronology of the landscape, or is it just focusing on the refuge? Is it focusing only on the refuge?
No, actually, it's not focusing on the refuge, because this shelter that they call Chez Marcel, we decided to hide it on the unfolded pages, because we wanted to focus on the natural elements. Because what's interesting, I think, in Florence's approach, when I look at her pictures, is what you would hear is nature sound. It's not conversation. And I think she succeeded to build contact with them.
Maybe to close the loop of the experimentation from dummy to final book, Arash, yesterday you were telling me that actually the dummy looked really a lot like the final published book by Spectre. How do you see the learning curve, or maybe the experimental curve, from dummy to the first elements you've been putting digitally or analogically on the page, and how you've been growing the information you are sharing with us to the point where there's no need to change anything from dummy to final book, trade book.
Well, I think I'm those type of artist that if you leave it to me, I will change everything every day. So many of my projects constantly change, and I don't really have the ability to see the final result. The learning curve was like really understanding what the project is about and finding the way to translate what are the key aspects, the conceptual aspects of the work, and how they can be translated, and what would be their interpretation in the format of the book. What I mean by this, for example, just a quick example, for me it was very important that like the person who is experiencing the book, which is very different than experiencing an exhibition, to have this experience that I had metaphorically and literally, the stack of my immigration dossier. So it was very important that when you see the book, and if I may, sorry, Frederic, somehow I wanted in the end the book to be really only the dossier. So if you remove the cover, if you remove, let's say, the extra text is very thin. I wanted you and whoever that holds the book really feel the weight of the 3.5 years of my life in limbo, the 304 pages that my immigration lawyer sent it to me. And this I was experiencing each time that I was going to the office, right? Not all of it, but I would see there. So there is something literal here, but also something metaphorically. So for me, the learning curve was like also, as an artist, what was the elements that I could really see that was going to the design, right? Because it could, especially with this price and all of a sudden knowing that you have quite a budget and having a great publisher supporting your project, there is somehow many possibilities really to find what is the right matter and what is the right appropriate fit for the conceptual format. Was like things that I talked to so many people. What do you think? And I had like, I don't know, 25, 30 ideas that I wanted to go, and every day was changing. Yeah.
Right. And maybe it's just a funny question, but is the weight of the dummy equals the weight of the final published book, or is one heavier than the other one?
The weight.
I mean, life is heavy on herself, but.
I think we had a nice conversation with Spectre, and we decided to change the weight of the pages, because when you receive official documents in your mail, they are all on 80 grams, right? And the dummy that I made was 150, because also like, I want a book, I want to feel a book. But then with Spectre, we decided to find like 120 grams, which is, I mean, you feel that it's quite thin, but it's not the 80 that it's going to break immediately, but still. But it's very heavy book. I had it in my tote bag these days, and I was like, I still carry this weight, this painful weight around in Arles. All
right. So in the creative process, you prefer the weight versus the fragility of the paper?
Well, I think you as an outsider, you cannot experience the fragility that I experienced. And I think while I was through this process and while I was like living in the state of in between, and by the way, I think to explain better this idea, the idea of the book actually came when I asked my lawyer, what is my legal status? And he told me, you are not illegal, but you are not legal either, right? So it's not necessarily something fragile, but it's like actually putting me in limbo to know that like I am in this unclarity, awaiting for this decision. So I don't consider the fragility, but I wanted to see this more the limbo situation to it. Yeah.
All right, fascinating. I would like to just start the first segment with everyone. So the role of the Dummy Book Award. Maybe this first question will be to you, Frederic. How does the Dummy Book Award at the PhotoBook Museum specifically support emerging photographers and their project? just to know a bit about your daily work.
Okay, for us it's very, as we said, it's very important because we've been following this dummy award. I teach also in Dortmund and Hannover, and so my daily business is working with students on, not daily, but when I go there teach, working on dummies. So I really believe in these prototypes, and you mentioned it, I'm a photographer myself. I used to do books. I had a small Sunday books thing starting on Sunday in the morning, and with the goal of having a little dummy ready on Sunday evening.
Really punk.
So, I really made on Sundays for Sundays was the claim. So I really believe in these unfinished things, and for us, it's a way to showcase and to give an audience to these unfinished or not or ideas, I would say, and give an audience to them. And when we took over the Dummy Award from Kassel, we did some changes. One of the changes was to highlight the shortlist. Means what steps can we do that it's not only about winning. It's not only about winning and not only about the one book at the end. And it's more about creating a whole system. So we started doing these catalogs. So we made last year for the first year. So we've been taking over this award since 2 years now. So we are doing constant improvements. So we have a catalog, printed 10,000 copies. The second one, we found out 2,000 less is fine too, so it's 8,000 copies. We give them we give them out for free, and this is for me important. We have boxes of 100. We send to schools, we send to institutions, because we think that they have to go out there in this catalog. And what is nice, and we get a nice feedback on that, we have the list of all the 420 books that have been sent in, and then they are highlighted, the ones that were shortlisted. So we get 420 books from 44 countries, which is really a lot. And if you can imagine, and getting 420 parcels from all over the world with DHL, with customs, and all the hell you go through.
It's a dream.
It's a dream, but it's a nightmare. Okay. It's a dream because I always think of opening a box from Japan and there's some Japan air coming out of the parcel. That's a moment I really like. No, it's great. But it's also a lot of physical work. It's a lot of storage. It's and a lot of fighting with DHL and other deliverers. It's getting worse and worse, but it's worth it because for us, it was always important to have a physical dummy.
Yeah, of course.
PDFs, send in PDFs is fine, but have a physical work. So we highlight the shortlist by having these catalogs, and we thought of a way how can people who do not see the books, how can they experience them? So we have QR codes of every book. We go the long way. We did videos of all the dummies. I have to thank Lily and Leonie for that job, filming them. And now it's the second year, so I like the idea that on our YouTube channel we have 100 dummies, and in 10 years we have 500, and in 20 years we have more. And so these go out to whoever wants them, and I have the feeling we tried to create a product which is not thrown away. Last year we were able to convince Nicolas Polly to design the booklet. This year it's Ramon Pez, so it's also for us important to give a carte blanche to designers to think on what could be the perfect way or what could be their way to present these books. Then, so we have this part. Then for us, an integral part of the whole Dummy Award is to send the books around into this world. So we took over this idea from Dieter Neubert, who had already an impressive tour list. So once the books get shortlisted, or once the book arrives in Cologne, we have a jury of 5 to 7 members from the PhotoBook world. It's publishers, designers, museum people, printers, a whole list each year. It's a lot of fun to put together that jury. For one day, we look at these 430 books and we choose 51 books. It's a hard job, because you can imagine that the level of dummies is very high, and it's a hard job. But we also think of, while we do it, how can we put together a nice show? How could we show the power of photo books and the power of the ideas and everything that is in there? So at the end of the day, we have a short list of 51 or 50 books, if it's 1 plus, 1 less. We try to get a nice overview, more or less very international, from 44 countries, and that's the beauty of the book. And we are looking forward to expand this, not in the amount of books, but in the diversity. So we are happy of every book that reaches us from Iran. Sometimes we have Iranian photographers who contact us and say, it's hard for me to transfer the money. We are not in that system. So, or we say, send maybe your book to Istanbul to our friend and he brings it along. So we try to help. Or last year we had a free entry for Ukrainian books, because one of our jury members, Anastasia, collected them in Kiev and brought them over. So we try to find ways. I'm nearly ready. So then these books, 51 books, we asked the photographers to send us a second set, and then we sent them out to a world tour. We start in Europe, they go to festivals, Milan, Barcelona, Łódź, Dublin, Rome, and then a big gap, these boxes go to Jakarta, Hong Kong, Australia. Last year we were able to set them up with Yumi Goto in Tokyo. This year we will try to expand our tour into Latin America, going to next station will be Sao Paulo, Buenos Aires, Santiago. So that's for us important. And I'm just giving you a number thing. So if someone publishes a book, 500 copies, 3 people look at that book, we have 1,500 views. And they are put in the shelf. This 2 copies of ours, they travel the world, and if each venue if in each venue this book is looked by 500 people, you can imagine the amount of views, of physical views these books get. And there's a lot of, I hear from participants that they get emails, they get Instagram messages of people in Japan, in Jakarta, seeing their books, giving feedback. So I really value that, or what we tried the last years is to put an emphasis on the short list and not so much the winning book.
Right.
On the locations, we came up, at each time it showed, we do a public vote. So the public, there's papers, there's voting slips, look at the book and can choose their favorite book. We collect these results at the end of the year. And from these public votes, we have a list of 5 winning books. These 5 winning books, also to diversify also the winners, these 5 winning books get a 25% production grant from our printer and printing supporting partner. So if you have already 25% printing costs covered, that helps you go to a publisher, make a crowdfunding, self-publishing. It's an offer we make, you don't have to do it. We help with our resources, with promoting, getting in contact. And from these 5 winners, Ufuk, our printing partner from Istanbul, and our team in Cologne, we sit together and we choose the PBM mass winner. And this is the book that is being published. So this is a little bit our process, to be very transparent, because the last decision, who is the winning book, is something we have to take as a publisher, as a printer, because we don't want to be in a situation that we end up with a book which is wonderful, but it's not producible or not sellable. Or so we like this idea because we would like to really promote these books. So there's 5 winners, they have the chance, there's the short list, and one of them is the winning book, and it's not chance, but it's there's so many factors going into this decision. So it's something we would like to make it clear. This is the PhotoBook Museum and our sponsor partner. We decide from these 5 winning books. So it sounds a little bit complicated, but we thought this is maybe the most transparent way, and we are open for improvements, maybe make it biannual. So whenever we are looking also forward to get feedback, the feedback we get from participants is very good, because we get an offer that we care. And often yesterday we heard from, we didn't go for the presentation in the arena, that this is not done by everyone. They are shown on the screen, 5 minutes, we continue to the next program. So what we want to do is to value all these hours and hours of work that have been put into these books.
Yeah, so
point.
Thank you. I think you will receive at least 50 requests after for participating in your open call, a physical open call. You mentioned 2 elements that I want to jump on it. So the physicality of the submission and not PDF, and also the criteria. So I want to use those 2 words to ask Janne and Margot about their relationship and how they've been going from your self-published publication to another publication that look maybe 80 or 90% close to the original one that you showed me many years ago. And what were the criteria for you to dance with Janne, and what were the criteria of Janne to change your initial proposition? Maybe, I don't know, which one of the 2 wants to start? Maybe Margot can start, and then Janne can show the publication, because it's not complicated, but it's articulate.
Yes. I remember first time I met Janne, I think one of the first words he told me was, I don't want to change it, or something like that. So I was really in a trust relationship with him, because actually I worked on this form and I was convinced about it. So I wanted to, I just wanted to make a team, to work with someone, because I think like at some point you can't have enough distance with your own work. And I already knew that it would be so much interesting to put someone new in the project, someone who was not there when I took the pictures and when I worked on it. And I needed to present it to someone new, not in my language, in English. We had to work on internet because we are not living in the same countries. So we worked on Skype a lot. And so all these technical things were actually positive things to me, because it was a test for this book. Like, does it still work? And yeah, I don't know, if you're right now.
Few more pages.
Maybe until Janne is finishing turning the pages and peeling your book, you can maybe give us a really quick insight about what the project is about, and then Janne can jump on his answer.
Okay, so it's a project that I started when I was a student, and it's about I met people working in like they were funeral workers. So it's about people taking care of dead people. It was all a reflection about ritual and gesture around the bodies, and why are we still taking care of those people. And yeah, it's a good resume.
Okay, I think I'm eager to listen to Janne because I have loads of questions, maybe, or maybe you too have questions. So feel free to interrupt.
Yeah. So first, I would like to say that this book actually was here in the Dummy Award, 2022 in Arles, which was my first year in Arles. I went to look at the dummies, but I don't particularly remember it from there because it doesn't work great in its own, like this sort of setting where the book is left alone. Because as you saw, it's like two intertwined booklets which go one page at a time, turning left and right. And what happens in a place where it's on its own, maybe you saw it now at the shortlisted books for the Author Book Award, it tends to happen like this, that both of the stacks are just like simply placed on top of each other. Boom and boom. And then it's quite a different reading experience, which is probably why it didn't strike me there. But luckily we met in Unseen the same September, which was like 2 months after being here. And I get to meet you, and it struck me really differently. And yeah, it was from then on, I knew immediately that I wanted to do it. I wanted to keep it as it was conceptually, which was Margot's idea, obviously, to keep it this kind of booklets coming together and pasting the reading experience, making it physical. Not being able to rush through the book, like you have to take your time reading it. Also, thinking that you look the book twice, so you don't only open it, but you also close it. So it's a very beautiful concept. Only thing we did basically was some re-editing, so changing the sequence, photographic sequence, because it's particularly, I mean, in every photo book, it's really the key factor. You have to think how you think your narrative, but in any other format or a regular book format, you can open it anywhere. But when it's read like this, the sequence is only readable in the exact order we have thought of it. So the editing was the key thing, what I felt like what we needed to fix after seeing your dummy.
What is interesting until here about the panel discussion is that often the dummy books are translated nearly the same as it was. So I think that the strong factor of being completely honest and thinking through every element of the work into a physical object often leads to not many changes, actually. And Janne just omit to say something that in the original self-published version of Margot, she put a text at the end that was printed, and then Janne, or maybe both of you, decided to do a deboss or emboss of the text in reverse. So that means that if you want to read the text, you need to go through the bodies and you need to go through the rituals, which I think is really important because this slight change make the relationship even greater. Means that Janne didn't took just an object and just put his logo of cult on it. No, they've been through a process, a ritual maybe, and and they came up with something new, but that was trustful to the original elements. Arash is going through a book. Maybe you can show us, Arash. And I think you discovered this book also during an award, in the middle of an award, and you've been publishing the artist. Can you tell us a bit?
Yeah, absolutely. It was the same year, so 2022 here in Arles, when I discovered this book. And yeah, it was a bit weird situation because there's a text now in the book which came in the dummy as a separate leaflet, which was missing at the dummy award, so I couldn't have any written context. Also, what gives a little bit of a hint of the theme would be the back cover. So this is a lenticular photographs in the cover, so when you flip it like this way, yeah, so there's a body that disappears and appears. So the book is, in short, about in the city of Juarez in Mexico, the artist cutting out all the newspaper photographs with the dead bodies on them and erasing them with a gum eraser, and then scanning them again and rescaling. So without any context, I just remember going through the book or the dummy page by page by page, not really understanding what I'm looking at, but it being so impactful that me going right online right away and reading about it. And I think on my way home, as I already then knew that it wasn't the winner, I wrote to Alejandro and said, I want to make your book.
Okay. Okay.
And here the process ever since was rather similar to Margot. So we changed a few photographs, not as much as with yours. Some editorial work besides that, but the production was rather tricky with the lenticulars. So that was more like a production process for me. And I took as well. I took an American co-publisher to cooperate with me on this one, since I felt like it would need a distribution in the United States, which I don't really, which I'm not able to provide. So I also approached another publisher,
which is
Los Sumergidos.
All right.
They are focused on Latin American issues. And
oh yeah, clever, clever. I want to thank ARASH for the hand modeling and showing us the book. And we are slowly but certainly going to the final segment. So prepare your questions. This industry and insight and maybe future trend. Maybe I want to ask maybe all the panelists here with us, what would be your advice to photographers who are looking to create a dummy for a competition, whether it's showing it to friends and family, bookshops, curators, or just waiting at the tambourin until 3 o'clock in the morning with a bit of a pastis to wait until someone can have a look. I just want to do a little quick parenthesis. I remember, I think 8 years ago, Avoyska showed me her first fluffy dummy. Yes, you were there. And we did just a small exchange. I had the pleasure and the honor to read this really early stage of sequester. And in return, she just bought me a sandwich. So I think we can really get an insight on people just by exchanging something. We don't have to pay for any kind of portfolio reading. Sometimes life can be simple. So maybe you can share the mic one by one and give us a bit of an idea. It doesn't have to be long. I know, Frederic, I will have to stop you after 3 minutes, but you can speak with Frederic after with the pastis or even more. Maybe Janne, you can start.
So it was about advice for.
Yes.
Yes. I think of this maybe from a publisher's perspective. I'm being shown a bunch of dummies every day and send submissions, PDFs. I think it's a bit risky to aim any sort of perfection with dummies. Dummies are being made a lot. It's being you can see it already in the Dummy Awards that it's processes and products that are being invested tremendous amounts of money into. And when you actually start to work with a publisher, which I think is the aim of anyone making a dummy, there will be a lot of changes, unless it's like superb. So I think for me in a dummy, the key point is to be able to convey your narrative, what you want to tell with your photography. Not to think so much about the production quality, but the actual content.
Okay. I think giving a key elements for each one of you could be really interesting for everyone, so that we can go home with little rocks or little advices of key elements when you are building up a narrative or a photo book. Leah?
Yeah. Maybe about this thing, this technical problem is that most of the time to make one dummy could be extremely expensive. So you have to let go of sometimes you have to let go of the right binding or the technical thing you want on your final book. You can forget it sometimes, so you can have an affordable shape or something you can do yourself. And I don't know how it is in other countries, but sometimes when you just go to what we call reprographe, like a small print shop, it can be hell. Here in France at least, because they cannot print on your paper, they want to use their own. So me, I would say that the easiest is to do yourself in a very cheap printer sometimes, just to have the object that could approach what you have in mind. Because if you pay like a real printer, sometimes they just ask for an amount where you could print 100
Yes,
for the same amount.
But yeah, the experience we have, but for me, I was not able to go on alone with my pictures. So that's why I asked Leah to do it with me, like a collaboration. And as she said, we forget something on the binding way that was too much too expensive, and we did it in a really like in cheapest way, and yeah, at the beginning, like last year, I just have my PDF and it was not printed, and I just show it to people, but it was not the same as to have the physical one. But I had some advice and some things, and after we discussed together, and we changed some things, like the cover was not the same first, and other things we changed after that meeting. So I think
the very first dummy was made with Leah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yes.
So maybe your advice is to work with graphic designers.
Yeah, no, I think it depends of the way you are with your own photographs, and how you can just be able to work with. But yes, for me, I had a lot of materials, and I didn't know how to bind them together and to find a link. So yeah, for me it was helpful to have Leah and to work on it, to have a different gaze on my work.
Thank you.
And I think I'm more on to the type of people that I don't believe in advice, because I think we all have our own formula of achieving to what we have to achieve. But what I can say for my own path of this project was like the act of doing it was very actually helpful, just to know what the book is about. I was talking about this book for years to many people, but I never had the feeling that what is the book. So one day I installed a pirated version of InDesign, and I was asking my studio mate how to work in design, and I designed a terrible dummy book, I think, that we showed in Arles, and we won the prize. But I think the fact of doing it was, I think, what made me have now this book with Spectre. Yeah.
Okay, just I'm not going to quote Asap Rocky, but I don't think that Asap Rocky would be here with six working really well brain like you. So I think 6 brains are really good to give advice.
Okay, 3 minutes over.
Watch out.
No. I think, and what I really like with Dummy Awards is that it's unfiltered. You know, there's no. I have the feeling that what we see there is unfiltered from young artists, or not young, but from artists' brains. There's no publisher, there's no market, there's no sellability, there's some production things, but it's raw. So I would say stay raw, stay bold, really think of a format. And what an advice I give to my students is always listen to the photographs, don't think of a form too much, but the goal for a book for me is to create the best possible stage for your photographs. So whatever you do, really check with it. Is this what the photographs want? Is this the form, the format, the size? And also be be bold, try something new, find new formats, and be fresh and unfiltered. And don't think of production details, best paper, Munken, and so on. It doesn't care at that stage. It's unfiltered ideas. And if you would like to have a cover with linen, with embossing, and you cannot do it, take another cover which has linen, scan it, make embossing on InDesign, and fake it. It's about transmission of ideas.
That's really horrible. But,
two little things. Work with people you love, because it seems maybe a bit silly, but this is a tough world, and I think it's very important to respect people you're working with, and not only for their work, but as a human as well. And maybe second thing, maybe don't be afraid to leave your work and your project for a while, because I think it did work for me. Like, leave it for a month or even a year maybe, because you will need a fresh eye on your work, and you can't have it if you're always on it. And yeah, it's okay. It will take time, but it's not important in the end.
Okay. I would like to continue talking and asking questions on and on, but we're reaching the end. So now I know that everyone's palms is sweating in the audience, and I'm looking at everyone at the same time. Yes, I can. So someone has a question or an opinion?
So I'm a photographer, and so actually book for me, I was really curious about what you guys were saying. I've been more working with exhibition, but one thing that is always coming back is I see a lot of people who are very good at seeing stories and very bad at telling them. And I was wondering, like, how does it work? Like, do you always have somebody who has already something really done, or are you helping people to also create their own stories to put them into books, or is it always, well, they already know exactly what they want to do? I don't know who could answer that.
I can start briefly.
Yeah.
So I'd say like about 65%, maybe 2/3 of the books that I make, I start with the artist from a pile of pictures. So then the whole book is built together, always in a collaboration. But then there are dummies which I find, which I like, which are pitched to me, that I publish pretty much as they are.
Okay. Okay, but like for question, like for the 2 award winners, like was it already well formed, or you needed some help to put it together and tell the whole story, or? I don't know. Like, yeah, just sorry. So to the 2 award winners, like, was it already made when you wanted to create your books, or was it you needed some help to put it together?
I mean, not editorial help, but friends' help. Yes.
Okay.
Not all the time, but I ask people, like, what do you think about this? Especially like I share my studio, like I talk a lot with my partner about my work, like constantly in this sense. But I think in the end, if you're a storyteller, you should know what your story is. And I think a part is by practice, but also a part is by intuition, right? If you see the dummy, the version of dummy, and you see the one with Spectre, I change a lot the layout, right? Both functions, if you ask me why I did that, I cannot explain to you per se, but I know the new version is the right one, right? I just feel it. I don't have any rational reason to tell you, but I know this is it.
I think me too. My friends helped me a lot with editing, because when we both work together, I still have some editing on my pictures, like the layout, the way to go on the storytelling on the book. We change some things, but it's quite the same. Like the pictures we choose on the book. Some Leah put on the book, and some authors we just put them away. So yeah, I work both with my friend, my friends, my partner. It helped me a lot with, and also when we were working together, we just change some things, I think.
Me, I would say that her story was already very clear, and that my role was to translate it as a book. But the story was really there. It was more about using the title of the book, what she told me, to make graphic choices.
And we are going to launch a book outside with Avoiska van der Molen. And I think all the books we've been talking are either on the table, the artists are here. Buy the books, the artist needs that.